In this video, we will see a program to convert the static web page into dynamic web page using servlets and cookies. A cookie is a small information sent by a web server to a web client. Cookies are saved at the client side for the given domain and path. Cookies are text files with small pieces of data like username and password that are used to identify your computer as you use as a computer network. They are used to identify a client when sending a subsequent request. They can also be used for passing some data from one servlet to another. Okay, how cookie works? By default, each request is considered as a new request. In cookies technique, we add cookie with response from the servlet. So cookie is stored in the cache of the browser. After that, if request is sent by the user, cookie is added with request by default. Thus, we recognize the user as the old user. To create a cookie class is defined in this package. To send it to the client, we need to create one and add it to the response. Java Servlets transparently supports HTTP cookies, and there are 3 steps involved in identifying returning users. First, the server script sends a set of cookies to the browser, for example like name, age, identification number, etc. Second, the browser stores this information on local machine for future use. And finally, when next time the browser sends any request to web server, then it sends those cookies information to the server, and the server uses that information to identify the user. To create a cookie object, you call the cookie constructor with cookie name and cookie value, both of which are strings. To get all the cookies or to read all the cookies in the servlet, the cookies are added to the request by the client. The client checks its parameter and decides if it can deliver it to the current URL. We can get all cookies by calling getCookies on the request HTTP servlet request passed to the servlet. And this is cookie basics. Okay, let's get into the program. First, we create a HTML form for entering the username, password, and card ID. From the HTML form, the servlet program is invoked in which the validity of username, password, and card ID is checked. If it is a valid user, then the welcome message will be displayed. Otherwise, the invalid user message will be displayed. And in this servlet, we set the cookies in which the username is stored. On successful login, the information from the cookie is checked and the shopping cart page for the corresponding user can be displayed. Then we edit web.xml in web.INF folder. This XML file will have the user information like user ID, password, and card number. Go to NetBeans, create a new project. Name the project as shopping. Click next, next, and finish. Name this index.html file as loginform.html in which user will enter username, password, and card ID. Copy the code and paste it here. Now from this HTML form, the servlet program login servlet is invoked. Create a new servlet and name the servlet as login servlet. Enable this checkbox. Now copy the code and paste over here. And here is where the user authentication is done. Once it is a valid user, it will display the welcome message. In this servlet, we have set cookies in which the current username is stored. On successful login, the information from the cookie is checked and the shopping cart for the corresponding user is displayed. Now create a servlet called login success. Enable this. Now copy paste the code for login success servlet. Go to web.INF folder in which we have web.xml file. In this XML file, we store the user information like username, password, and code ID. Copy paste the code for web.xml file. Now save all together. Run the login form.html. The username, password, and code ID given in the XML file are the valid users, so give them accordingly. And now you can see the welcome message. And choose the book you need to shop and click purchase. On clicking purchase, the information from the cookie is checked and the shopping cart page for the user is displayed. And if we enter the username, password, card ID other than the value stored in XML file, then this message will be displayed saying that invalid user. Thank you so much for watching and see you next video.